Hi, hello, I am George Akolade Coker. Welcome to my channel. I'm here to tell stories that matter. I told the first story on my channel about how I became a typewriter poet and how you need to be honest about what you love and what you want so that you can actually move towards it and the people around you can help you get there. Now, I guess I want to tell a different story, and I guess I'll use typewriter poetry again. I'm going to tell you a story about the first gig that I got this year. The first gig that I had for typewriter poetry this year was at a woman named Sherry's birthday. I met her in December, and I wrote her a poem for her son who was struggling in school, and I told her that I thought he would be fine, and so I wrote him a poem about how those of us with great struggles often turn out to be the ones with great power, and that if he could learn not to lose his empathy or hope, one day he would look back and be proud of the person he'd become for the struggles that he had. So yeah, she loved that poem, and she was like, you need to come do my birthday party. So there I am in Beverly Hills at this beautiful mansion that belongs to her mom, Heidi, or Hayeda. She's actually Persian, so she's got a really cool name, and they were all speaking Farsi. It was very cool. And the catering's amazing, and I'm set up in my suit, you know, at my typewriter with my little sign that says Sherry's 40th and their candles, and you know, it's just I've got this cocktail that I'm not going to drink, and there's a seat next to me. And when people sit in the seat next to me, what they do, or well, really what I do, is I set myself up to be ready to listen, right? So I put away all the stuff that's going on in my mind about who this person might be, what's going on, and I ask them two questions. And the first question is, hey, how do you spell your name? Because I don't want to get that wrong. The second question is, tell me what's been on your mind lately. And people answer that question any number of ways. They sometimes are like, oh, nothing. Or they're like, oh, wow, nobody's really asked me that. She's like, oh, getting deep today. You know, like people have all sorts of ideas about what that question means. And I don't really even know what that question means. I've been asking it just because it gives me a really interesting response. And then I feel like when I know what a person thinks about, I can write a better poem for them. So anyway, people are sitting in the chair, and I'm having these great talks with people about, you know, life and love and changing the world. And Sherry's got some really cool friends, and like one of them has this great talk with me about Malibu moms who are like microdosing like mushrooms and stuff, and it's like the funniest chat. They're like picking up their kids from like whatever and going to PTA meetings, and they're just constantly on drugs. Finally, Andrea sits in the chair, and Andrea is super cool. She's got this really awesome wellness platform, fitness wellness platform called And Life. It takes 5 points of your wellness and turns it into a sort of like a little matrix for how you can like improve your health and wellness. And I think it's super cool. You should check it out. I'll put a link in the description. Basically, Andrea sits in my chair, and I go, Andrea, so how do you spell your name? We have a little chat about that and a giggle. It's a good icebreaker asking somebody how to spell their name, because like sometimes you get an interesting answer, sometimes you're just, oh, it's a normal way, or like they're like, yeah, my parents weren't very creative. Like it's just you get a little personality out of them. And then the next thing was, of course, what's been on your mind lately? And so we get into talking about her business and her children, and we have this great conversation about her son Rocky. Rocky is a cool little kid. He's got an older sister named Brooke, and she is amazing. I asked Brooke what was on her mind, and we had this like really interesting chat. She's like 8 years old. And at some point I asked her about love came up, and I asked her like where she feels like love and happiness, and she was like, oh, well, in here. And she was basically saying that like her good feelings, they don't come from, they're not external, they come from within. And I was like, well, that's really profound. So I'm going to write you a poem so you never forget that, because I forgot that after a while of being out in the world, and it was a terrible thing to forget. And then a little story about Rocky is that one time Andrea was listening to a song called Tangled Up in Blue, and Rocky was listening to it with her, and she asked Rocky, what does this song mean? And he was like, well, I think that Tangled Up in Blue means that he is all wrapped up in his sadness, and he doesn't know how to get out. And I was like, wow, that's gnarly. And she was like, yeah, I didn't realize he understood what that meant. And I was like, well, it's crazy, right? Because kids are constantly in a state of theta from like the ages of like 1 to 10, which means that they're basically in a state of hypnosis walking around the world. Like when your brain has a bunch of theta waves running through it, it's like tuned to theta, you're it's close to, you daydream in that state, you fantasize in that state, you get really creative in that state, but sometimes you're a little hypnotized. And so kids just internalize all sorts of information coming into them from the outside world. And so we gotta be careful with what we teach them, because like a lot of what kids learn is not knowledge, they learn beliefs. And so Andrea, actually, while we were talking about how to raise kids properly, it was really funny, I'm just over here being a kid myself, like not knowing jack about anything. That's not true. I know plenty of things about plenty of things, but I also recognize that like what I know is limited, what I believe is expansive. But now I'm coming to a point where I'm sort of letting go of belief and allowing belief. So I'm like capable of experiencing all kinds of belief, which is really cool because it serves me to not be too attached to things that I believe about myself. Like, I used to think I was a shy kid, and that I couldn't be a people person, and then I found out that I could be very outgoing if I felt like it, or I could be just as shy. And now for the people who didn't know me as a shy kid, they get really uncomfortable, or when I am shy. But George isn't normally quiet, like, what's going on here, Let me get back to the point though. Andrea and I were having this great conversation about obstacles. We were talking about raising kids and how to properly prepare them for the world. And I was saying that the things you cause a child to believe are things that will stick with them through their lives. Whether they are battling against this belief or actively living into this belief, it's going to stick with them. And so I was saying that basically you want to teach a kid not just what things are, but sort of how to think about things so that they can free themselves when they realize something doesn't serve them. And so the case that we took was obstacles. She was talking about how she actually learned that, you know, you persevere and you work hard and you can make it through anything really when she was a kid, and that nothing's ever really so bad that it's the worst thing ever. And she was saying that like when life got hard, she had already internalized that, and so she made it through all sorts of struggles believing that things would be okay if she just kept working. And I was like, yeah, it's crazy, right? Because obstacles, if we look at obstacles as these awful things, and why are they happening to me? It's like they're these awful roadblocks that prevent you from getting where you want to be, and that's what they are. Like, because that's what you believe they are. But like, if you don't want to have a negative experience of roadblocks, you can move it and shift to a neutral experience of like obstacles and roadblocks. You can be like, look, everybody experiences obstacles and roadblocks, and the path to success has roadblocks on it. So like, it's just what you have to do if you want to be successful, right? But then we thought about it and we were like, well, shift it a little further. It's like roadblocks are a part of the path to success. If I want to be successful, I'm going to come up against roadblocks, which means that roadblocks are, you know, just a sign that I'm working towards something that matters. And I was like, that's really cool. That's actually awesome. And so we went from negative to neutral to ambivalent, like, oh, it's, you know, there's a push-pull, there's a give-take on that. But I was like, now, in this moment, you've sort of created this even, like, further shift for me, Andrea, and that's that, what if I were to take it in the same way, there was this saying she said, like, I'm trying to teach myself not to look at the world as, why is this happening to me? But to look at the world as, I get to have this happen to me. It's not I have to do this, it's I get to do this. And so I was like, well, what if we looked at our obstacles and instead of thinking of them as like, oh, they're just, you know, this thing that I have to do on the road to success, it's like, they are an opportunity for me to check in and to redouble my resolution on whether or not I want to do this, right? Like, it's not a bad thing. Like, the obstacle, I get to shift myself and go, hey, there's an obstacle. Is this what I want? It is what I want. Thank you for reminding me. And I think that that's like the coolest thing I could have ever walked away from a random conversation with a stranger who I was writing poetry for, because I realized that like my mentality, and this goes along with the concept of believing things, my mentality is so improved from that one conversation. And this is what I'm talking about, speaking your truth. Like, just be honest and see where it takes you. And when I say be honest and see where it takes you, I don't mean like you can be a jerk whenever you want to be honest. I mean like, pick the highest ideal that you have and be honest through that ideal. So my highest ideal currently is peace, I guess, right? And so I try to be honest through a place of peace. Like, will this bring me peace? Will this give you peace? How can my honesty sort of evoke or expose peace? And I think that's a really beautiful thing, because, oh man, it's just it's just when you can look at yourself and you can go, I am not a bad person. I am not a good person. I'm a person and I can choose good, right? Instead of feeling bad when you fail to be good, or feeling, better than other people when you see them being bad. You have the ability to recognize, whoa, we are all just people, and we're all just doing the best we can with what we've got at the moment. And being able to make that shift for me has been so powerful, because, I can do things out of love that I ordinarily wouldn't have done before. I take care of myself out of love, and I take care of my home out of love, and I take care of my partner out of love. And, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful to me. That, instead of living from this perspective of, I don't know, any number of perspectives, that original obstacle perspective of entitlement, why is this happening to me? I don't deserve this. I literally am look, we're all human beings. We deserve the joy and the fullness of the human experience. If one human being can have joy and fullness, I can have joy and fullness. If any human being is supposed to have joy and fullness, every human being is supposed to have joy and fullness. And if any human being is supposed to experience sadness, then all human beings are supposed to experience sadness. And it's not this thing that we're going through alone in life. It's this beautiful thing that we're creating together. And I just want to invite more people to always feel empowered to live their lives like they're creating it together. So that's my obstacle. My obstacle is figuring out how to help people get to a place where we're all in this together, creating something beautiful. I know I just got super rambly, so I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna leave you with that. What I'm gonna leave you with is, look at your life and look at how you're looking at your life, right? Step away from your thoughts. You're not your thoughts. Step away from your perspective and see if perhaps if you looked at something from a different perspective, you would see something else. And perhaps instead of obstacles, you would find opportunities. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please like it. If you don't like it, hit the don't like button. I'd like to know. If you want to leave me some comments and tell me what you think about this video, I would love to hear your thoughts. If they're positive thoughts, thank you. I really appreciate that. It feels good to know that you guys are enjoying the content I make. And you know what? If you don't like it, tell me, because I love constructive criticism. I love feedback. If you're just this sucks, I'm okay, cool, this isn't for you, that's fine. But if you're yo, maybe you could improve your, your speech style, you get too rambling, you don't stay on topic, sure, I'll fix it. If, a bunch of you are I don't like that. If you guys are yeah, George, go ahead, ramble. I'll ramble. Whatever. I'll ramble if I feel like it. Thanks for your time. I am really enjoying being able to share this with you guys. So, please feel free to connect on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. I'll be there making stuff for you. Probably poetry. See ya.